What's going on, hybrid shooters? It's Jason Vong, and in this video we'll be doing a comparison between the upcoming Sony a6400 versus its predecessor, the Sony a6500, versus the OG flippy screen, the Sony a5100. Well, actually the 6500 wouldn't be its predecessor because the number 6500 comes before 6400, but the fact that the Sony a6500 came out before the 6400 makes it its predecessor, right? I am so confused. Now, before we get this video started, I do want to clarify that the Sony a6400s that we got to play with are pre-release units. However, Sony did mention that they are final production units, so they should perform very similar to the ones that are coming out in the next couple of weeks. Regardless, I wasn't able to do every single test that I personally wanted to do, but I did do the most important ones that should help you figure out if this camera is right for you. With that said, let's go ahead and get this video started. Alright, let's first talk about ergonomics. Both the a6400 and the a5100 have a flip-up screen, perfect for those selfie-style vlogging, whereas the a6500 only has a tiltable screen. Both the a64 and the a6500 has a mic jack on the side and the hot shoe on top, so you can mount an external microphone for better audio. The a5100 has neither of these. If you're concerned about the mic blocking your screen on the a6400, here's a cheap solution that's $13 that's going to allow you to mount the mic to the side. Now, more information about this setup at the end of the video, but the link to it is in the description box below. Let's get back to the comparison. While both the a64 and a6500 have similar body type, the a6500 offers a little more customization in terms of physical buttons. The a6500 has 3 custom buttons, while the a6400 only has 2. And because this is important to some creators, the shutter can now start movie recording on the a6400, while the a6500 cannot. The a5100 is the smallest camera of the 3, but also the most basic camera of them all. It is the least customizable due to the lack of buttons. Now, beginners may not feel like something's missing, but for seasoned creators, they will find it frustrating having to access most features through the menu. Moving on to the video recording limit, both the a6500 and the a5100 are capped at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. The a6400 does not have this limit due to the fact that it is being released after the tariff have been lifted this year. Basically, photo cameras and video cameras were being taxed differently. That's why these mirrorless cameras were marketed as photo cameras. If it recorded longer than 30 minutes, it's considered a video camera. If you are interested in more about this topic, I will link an article in the description box below for you to check out. Anyway, with no recording limit, the a6400 was able to record 1 hour and 27 minutes of 4K. It basically filled up a 64GB SD card with 13% battery to spare. The heat warning icon never came on for the a6400, whereas it came on for the a6500 around 20 minutes in. By the way, I did set the auto power temperature on both cameras on high. Having the heat icon appearing is not considered overheating, by the way, it's just a temperature warning. But despite the heat warning icon, the a6500 was able to record 1 hour and 7 minutes of 4K before the battery exhausted. At the end of recording, the a6500 was warmer than the a6400. The a6400 was just mildly warm at the end. This is due to the new processor implemented in the new camera, allowing it to use less power and use it more efficiently. As for the a5100, the heat icon came on around 12 minutes and 30 seconds. It went on to record about 23 minutes of 1080p before it shut off. I immediately turned it back on and it was able to record for another 5 minutes before shutting off again. The a6400 and a6500 are capable of shooting in 4K, while the a5100 is capable of shooting 1080p. By the way, yes, there's still a slight crop when shooting 4K at 30p on both cameras. To be honest, because the a6400 uses the same sensor as the a63 and a6500, the image quality are almost identical. I'm not seeing too much of a difference in 4K and 1080p. Speaking of 4K, again because of the new processor, the a6400 can now shoot 4K videos without dimming its screen. In fact, you can set the monitor brightness higher, allowing for more visibility in bright environments. Comparing 1080p from the 3 cameras, the a5100 looks the softest, but not by much, though in low light, the a5100 falls apart really quickly, not to mention the unwelcome skin smoothing. When comparing 60p and 120p, again, I'm not seeing too much of a difference. Sony introduced several new updates to their autofocus system, real-time eye autofocus, animal eye autofocus, and an improved real-time object tracking feature. The A65 and the a5100 will not be getting these updates due to the fact that they're using an older processor. While I didn't get a chance to do a side-by-side comparison, the real-time eye autofocus on the a6400 does perform excellently and accurately. It is able to detect the subject's eye without triggering the assigned eye autofocus button, unlike its predecessors. Also, the ability to change which eye the camera should focus on is indeed helpful, whereas the a6500 you won't have any control. An example how this could be beneficial is when you're shooting with a model with the thinnest strand of hair obstructing one of the eyes. Sometimes the a6500 would focus on the eye with the most obstruction, but with the a6400 you can choose the other eye. Unfortunately, we weren't able to try out animal eye autofocus because the update for this will be available later this year. Both the a64 and a6500 have 425 phase detection autofocus points, whereas the a5100 only has 179. What this means is that the a64 and a6500 can keep focus almost across the entire screen, whereas the a5100 will do the best in the middle part of the screen. Next up is video autofocus. We'll only focus on the a64 and a6500 as they have the better autofocus systems. Both cameras' autofocus settings are set to normal and responsive. We will first start off with face detection autofocus first. Looking it back in slow motion, the a6400 did a slightly better job. It held the focus longer and more accurately. It is also able to detect a face much further away than the a6500. This next part, we tested the real-time object tracking feature on the a6400 against the outdated center lock-on autofocus on the a6500. The a6400 obviously did the better job. This will be very helpful isolating a certain subject on the screen that you want to focus on, especially in sports with a dozen players or a wedding with too many faces on the screen. Let's quickly talk about the colors. I may need to retest this again, but it seems like the a6400 has improved colors. The skin tones are slightly warmer, whereas the a6500 has a greenish tint to it. Both the a64 and a6500 have the same picture profiles, but the a5100 does not have any. The a6400 also features the new hybrid lock gamma profile. In terms of low light, again the a5100 was the worst of the three. The a6400 performed slightly better than the a6500 between ISO 1600 to 6400, but beyond that, at 12,800 and 25,600, the 6500 looked to be slightly sharper and having less noise reduction. Aside from that, the a6400 is capable of shooting up to 32,000 ISO due to the fact that it has the wider ISO range. Now, in a real-world situation, the noise tolerance level will vary between users to users. Some wouldn't go past ISO 6400, and some wouldn't mind shooting up to 32,000 ISO. It just depends on your personal preference. Moving on to the most controversial topic, in-body image stabilization. Both the a5100 and the a6400 lack IBIS, whereas the a6500 has it. But does it really matter? It depends. If you're shooting with a tighter focal length with no optical steady shot, the footage is visibly jerky. The a6500 would be advantageous in handheld situations. However, for vlogging, since most vloggers would use a wide-angle lens, it would be really hard to tell. This is me standing still and vlogging with the a6500 with IBIS turned on and using the Sigma 16mm with no optical steady shot. And this is me vlogging with the a6400 with no IBIS and using the same lens. At first glance, they look pretty similar, but when set side by side, you can tell the a6500 is slightly steadier. Here I am walking and vlogging at the same time. Again, at first glance, they look similar, but side by side, the IBIS on the a6500 does help out a bit. However, in a real-world scenario, it would be very hard to tell. Next up, let's take a look at when we vlog with a lens that have optical steady shot. When I'm standing still, they both look pretty good. But again, I'll have to give the a6500 the slight edge. Having IBIS plus optical steady shot shows slightly more stability. When I'm walking, the difference is visibly apparent, though again, if we were to only look at one of the footage in real life, it would be extremely hard to tell. Let me know what you think. Would not having IBIS hinder you as a vlogger? Personally, I don't think so, but as someone who not only vlogs but shoot videos behind the camera, especially with the longer focal ranges, not having IBIS is a deal breaker for me, if this was gonna be my main camera. But as a secondary B or C camera, the Sony a6400 is actually very appealing. Longer record time, no heat issues, and a better autofocusing system, I can really see myself using this as a wide-angle camera at long ceremonies during weddings, or simply having it on the gimbal the entire time to take advantage of the amazing autofocusing features. Let's talk dollar bills. For $900, the Sony a6400 ain't bad at all. Again, you're getting the improved autofocus system, better colors, longer record time, no screen dimming when shooting in 4K, and longer heat tolerance. If you're vlogging with a wide-angle lens that has optical steady shot, not having IBIS shouldn't affect you too much. If you're in need of a secondary camera, this would be an excellent choice for the price and for the latest features. On the other hand, if you're in need of a main camera and you're doing much more than just vlogging, the Sony a6500 with its IBIS would fit your needs. The autofocus system is still excellent, the 4K quality is just as amazing, you got slow motion up to 120 frames per second, and you have access to the Cine and S-Log picture profiles. You can pick up an a6500 for $1,200. Now, would I still recommend the Sony a5100 in 2019? Absolutely. For $450 body only, $550 with a kit lens, the 1080p and the autofocus on the a5100 ain't too shabby. This will be perfect for anybody who's looking to get into vlogging for the first time and with a budget in mind. Sure, it lacks a lot of the convenient features like the extra custom buttons, but for beginners, it makes it not so overwhelming to get started, and it should make vlogging a lot more fun. By the way, this is the mic solution to avoid blocking the screen. What's holding all of this together is a small bracket from Ulan-Z. You can attach a quick release right here so you can easily mount and dismount the camera. The mini tripod I'm using is the Manfrotto Pixie, and the mic here is the Rode VideoMicro that costs about 60 bucks, while the rest of the accessories will run you about $40. So this is gonna cost you about $100 in total, minus the camera and lenses. Before we get into the giveaway, let's go ahead and read some of the top comments from the last video, which is my first impression on the Sony a6400. What a piece of shit. Camera Conspiracy has the most honest, best review ever. Go check it out. Low key though, but I really love that guy. T-shirt giveaway, why not an a6400 giveaway? LOL. You wanna wear his old shorts? Ha 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 ha. What the f is this? By the way, if you do want to win an a6400, I heard Tony and Chelsea Northrup is giving away one of their own, so go check out their video. I like the camera. I think people complain too much. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Sorry, mate, I can't hear you with that huge pimple on your mouth. Step 1, wash face. Step 2, vlog. Okay, I'm ready to vlog now. Okay, anyways, let's see what's the next comment. Maybe Sony isn't putting IBIS in so that people would buy the Sony OSS lenses and not the sharper Sigma lenses. That sounds like a conspiracy. A camera conspiracy. And for this video's contest, I'll be giving away a Sony Pro Support Peak Design wrist strap. Ooh, look at this beauty right here. For a chance to win, all you have to do is just be a subscriber of the channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below something about the Sony a6400. And we will choose the winner at the end of the next video. And the t-shirt giveaway winner from the last video is... Scott Wu, you are the winner of the Sony Alpha t-shirt giveaway. All you have to do is just email us in the email in the about page of my YouTube channel. We'll get that t-shirt sent out to you. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.